G'day and welcome to another edition of the Aussie Ideas Man. I'm hard up for something to make a video of, and I've got a bit of time to make one. So I just thought I'd annoy the fanboys and make another video. Unfortunately, there's not much in the way of good videos that are pro Aptera at the moment. We're getting pretty quiet. And so the poor old Ninge is my victim of choice this time. It's going to be pretty low key, I think. I don't think I'll have too much to say. I'll be cutting a lot of his rubbish out because I have watched it once and a lot of it's nothing to do with Aptera, even though it does say that it's a Aptera news update. This is 19th of February 2024 for his video. So I'll just right now say, what do I say when I sign off? Just watching my wife leaving so I can talk in peace. There's not much noise in the home at the moment. Anyway, that last sign off will be spliced off the front and put at the back. And so getting back to the start, which I'll put in now, doesn't that confuse everyone? Let's get into it.
Hello, greetings, and welcome everyone to this news video. I am the Ninge, and we are going to be talking about quite a few topics today. Let's go ahead and jump right in. I missed a week by mistake / on purpose, so let's go ahead.
Here's a good one. By accident / on purpose, he missed a week. How can you accidentally miss a week at the same time purposely miss the week? It's nonsense. He starts straight away with nonsense. It was either accidental or it was on purpose. It's not the two together. Okay. You can see I'm hard up for finding a real victim, aren't I?
Go ahead and catch up. The news stories for today are as follows. Help Aptera be recognized for their world-changing leaders. BMW is researching an in-wheel motor. Steve shows the PDU goods. Honda Prologue specs, dud or stud. Lunabot is on the Aptera website. Automotive Super Bowl commercials. BYD is partnering with Ford. It's still weird to say. Production-ready 1,000-mile battery. What the what? How Norway built an EV utopia. Rust on the Cybertruck. And finally, things that I liked. Alright, let's go ahead and jump in here. The first story today revolves around Bloomberg. The periodical asked us to nominate influential business people, and someone on Reddit had a great idea to nominate Chris Anthony and Steve Fambro. or Steve Fambro.
That's not a great idea. Those guys are snake oil salesmen. They don't have a product. It's a bit early to start hailing them as anything great.
This would go a long way to putting Aptera in front of more people, so the link for submitting Chris and Steve will be below, as well as sample answers for what to put down in the comments below.
What's all this about? Submit before copy and paste, so sample answers didn't happen. Okay. The answers can be found on the Aptera website under About. Wow, I can't even be bothered with that.
BMW is researching an in-wheel motor design with a company called Deep Dive. The company expects to see a 20% increase in the range of their electric vehicles just with this change. This could signal a significant shift if the automotive industry as a whole begins researching in-wheel motors and implementing them in their vehicles. It could also mean a lot with respect to efficiency of the entire industry, so yeah, keep your ears to the ground. This is going to be very fascinating. If BMW likes it, then maybe all the other legacy automotive makers will appreciate the increase in efficiency and decrease in number of parts.
Well, BMW was the car that used to say sheer driving pleasure or something like that. It's the one company that favours handling over all the others. At least that's how it advertises itself. It was reluctant to even build a front-wheel drive car for decades. because front-wheel drive was considered by BMW as too poor for their sheer driving pleasure mantra. As far as I can see, I wouldn't be keeping my eyes open for this one because BMW will have to knock it on the head. They will not get a percentage of more range at the expense of handling, and they will knock it on the head for that reason. Let's see what happens in the future, but this is one of these cases where we're just looking to the future. I'm more concerned with what's happening here and now.
Steve shows several pictures of the PDU and BMS boards. By the way, PDU stands for Power Distribution Unit and BMS stands for Battery Management System. These are the physical brains of the operation, and based on a few of the things I can see in the pictures, these boards are built to last a while. It's also pretty simple if the images he showed were the entire boards.
One board looks the same as another. There's no way in the world any ordinary person can see that they're built to last a while. I don't think this engineer knows enough to be able to tell himself. I've watched it through once, and I think he's struggling to just get through university.
Which, by the way, they probably were not, which is a good sign. In general, boards that are simple and meant to last do.
It's not a case of them lasting, it's a case of them performing. And just showing pictures of boards does not reveal any performance capabilities whatsoever. So, big deal if they are meant to last. All things are meant to last. That's why they put warranties on cars. So, don't worry about meaning to last. Worry about what they can actually do. Performance measures.
I actually missed this story from a few weeks ago, but Honda announced the specs of their new Prologue vehicle, which prompted me to go and check out on their website. Aptera's steady, consistent engineering progress extends to their entire brand, including now their website. I went to the website and saw that this bot could answer questions. I asked the bot a few questions, some of them not even Aptera related necessarily.
Well, this is a real good one. I'm not even going to bother to look at it. But I don't care if some bot is created to answer questions when Steve Fambro and Chris Anthony and the whole Aptera crew don't answer questions. They just don't answer questions unless they've told somebody the question in the first place. That's how it looked at that last awards night or whatever it was, awards afternoon they had. It looked fairly certain that they were told what questions to ask and they would answer questions. But really, put them in a room full of strangers and they won't answer questions.
And it did a pretty good job of answering them. Later this week, or perhaps maybe early next week, I am going to ask some questions of the system and rate the answers just kind of for a bit of fun. So yeah, stay tuned for later on this week.
I'll be watching that one.
There were a few Super Bowl ads that revolved around vehicles. I missed them because D&D was happening that day. Ford is partnering with BID in order to source LFP battery packs for their EVs. Is a statement that I never thought I would say, like, ever. Production-ready 1,000-mile batteries have been a thing that several companies have marketed fairly recently, and these stories tend to get a lot of traction. One thing that has bothered me, however, with respect to these claims, no company has put one in a car and tested it, so the 1,000-mile range claims feel almost always a bit dubious.
Well, he can add Aptera to that. They've been claiming 1,000 miles for the past 3 years at least, and they have never put one in an Aptera and tested it. They are the most dubious that you could come across.
Most of these companies are using some form or another of solid-state or semi-solid state batteries, but the mileage claim will continue to make me raise an eyebrow until it is tested in an actual vehicle. Now, there are some of you that may have noticed that I am more skeptical of this 1,000-mile claim than I am the 1,000-mile claims made by Aptera. The reason is simple. They have advanced computer modeling and a fair bit of real-world testing to back up their claims. So, long story short, not all 1,000-mile claims are created.
What's that real world testing that they did? He just said that they have advanced computer modeling, well, so does everybody else, and they have real world testing. They have had no real world testing for a 1,000-mile battery. None whatsoever. So his reason is just out the window.
Equal. It is rare to see an article that is this off. Anyway, there was a video made by CNBC that essentially broke down how Norway transitioned to EVs. I believe that many countries can take more than one page out of their book. Long story short, infrastructure, incentives, and education are all vital to get right. If you get these three things right, in general, you're going to have a really high EV adoption rate.
Norway had one extra thing besides those three things. Norway had penalties. That is, if you wanted to buy an ICE car, you had to pay an extra tax, which penalised the buyer. It was a whopping big tax. I can't remember, it was so long ago. But if Norway had not taxed the sale of ICE cars so heavily, then the EV adoption rate would have been far slower. So yes, there were those three incentives, but there were heavy penalties as well.
Or so the story seems to go in at least Norway. I would suggest checking out the entire video because they break down a lot of other small factors that kind of added up, but the three things that I mentioned stood out to me as the real difference between Norway EV adoption and basically everywhere else. There are people reporting that their Cybertrucks are rusting. While I have seen some pictures that show rust on the surface of the Cybertruck, I don't think the metal itself is actually rusting. This is not to discount those people that have had that experience. This particular section is to kind of highlight what I think is probably happening and kind of give some context, some perspective here. So anybody that has sat down and talked to me for any prolonged period of time knows that I was at one point an engineer. I've shifted, I was studying as an engineer. I've shifted from being a mechanical engineer, studying mechanical engineering, to studying aerospace engineering, and then to studying electrical engineering. During the time that I was studying mechanical engineering, there was an experiment that I was trying to hash out.
Let's just hold on here. This is really revealing the intelligence or lack of that this guy has. He has switched from three streams of engineering studies and in the beginning tried to say that he was an engineer. He corrected himself and revealed that he's just a failed student. But the fact that he'd gone through three streams tells me that he's having trouble learning. Now, I'm pretty sure that if you're not these Ivy League universities in the United States, I think that's like Princeton and Yale and maybe Harvard, I think. There might be a couple more that's in that Ivy League. If they're not Ivy League universities, these universities are pretty much Mickey Mouse easy universities to get through. We have similar systems in Australia where certain universities are at a higher level, and my university was one of those. But certain universities have this higher level, but you can enroll for universities that many employers would not even look at you for when you apply for a job. They are just Mickey Mouse universities. Now, I think this engineer hasn't gone to an Ivy League university and has had trouble studying at some pretty Mickey Mouse universities that he's gone to. Not sure, but that's my, I guess I don't like to really guess, but in this case, I'm guessing he hasn't gone to an Ivy League university and he should be able to pass his courses. He shouldn't be switching them over. He hasn't said why he switches them over, but most people switch them over when they struggle with the one they're in. Anyway, I'm keeping that one in, even though I'm leaving out a lot of the irrelevant stuff that he's got in here.
I wanted to be a mechanical engineer because I wanted to be able to produce a hydrogen producing box, essentially. I wanted to use water and split it into its hydrogen and oxygen components. Without getting too terribly technical, 316 stainless steel lasted for years in my bubbling machine instead of minutes to hours for any other material that I used.
I'm just going to stop here. Most of this I have cut out because he's rambling on, but I picked up on one thing. He started studying mechanical engineering because he wanted to make a box. And anyway, what he's just said, that in his experiments he found that a certain type of stainless steel lasted for years. Okay, well, how many years? Because if it's any more than 3 years, he should have completed his university studies. You can be an engineer inside of 3 years. How many years has he gone and still hasn't completed an engineering degree?
This stuff lasted for years without corroding at all. You guys are free to refute or to disagree in the comments. I simply ask that you be respectful. I am curious to hear you guys' viewpoints on that particular story as well. All right, now for things that I like this week. There was a video released by EV Pulse about a year ago or so. Drive the Lightning interviewed me, and holy bananas, that was fun. I really appreciated their professionalism and fantastic questions.
It wasn't fun to watch. I watched it. It was Mickey Mouse. Fairly, what do you call it? Brain deadening. Nothing new to learn. But everybody's free to watch it. I'm not going to stop people from watching it.
And if you haven't already, I would say go check it out. I enjoyed working with them and would do it again in a heartbeat. So, yeah, man. Good times. Every time I think they just can't top themselves when it comes to media and video production, Aptera actually does just that. They put out a Valentine's Day video that was extremely well done. The video...
Yes, and I put out a video that refuted that Valentine's Day video as sinking as low as you can go. It was not extremely well done. Well done if you think they've dragged in the sad, lonely hearts males of America that will buy something if they can see a pretty girl in a pink top. That's about the only angle you could say it was well done by. And now I recommend my video because everything that she said on that top 10 list, I made lists to say why they were silly. So by all means, watch my recommendation. Well, what did I do? I called it something like Aptera sinks low or like that. I don't know. It's off the top of my head. I'm talking to a computer and I can't think straight. Anyway, it's got to do with Aptera sinking low, and I've got a nice picture of the girl Quincy on the front to appeal to all the American lonely hearts, sad people that have to clutch to anything.
Did a great job of reminding me of all the reasons why I fell in love with Aptera. Yeah, check it out. It was fantastic. This past week, there were two fantastic channels that put out videos about the Aptera and their impressions of the vehicle. The first I will mention here is called Electric Garage. The 25-minute video was very detailed and very fun to watch.
Yes, I did a quick video that evaluated the electric garage too. And I would recommend my video, and I would recommend in the comments everybody that's got something intelligent to say, if they think they can refute me or debunk anything I've claimed, go right ahead. I'm ready and waiting. I bet nobody does except the really dopey who don't really understand how thick they are. There are people like that. There are some fools in the world who actually know that they're not the brightest spark. But then there are more fools who think they're pretty clever. Some people will accuse me of this, but this is just a fact of life. I'll take the accusations even. I don't mind, but these are facts of life. And these things should not be hidden away. It should be public knowledge. And as far as Electric Garage went, he was promoting the snake oil without ever knowing that the data that he was pushing was all faked. He's just sucked in like many others.
The second, from Aging Wheels, was also quite detailed, but had...
Now, the second one from Aging Wheels, I watched that and made nothing on it. But one thing I did notice was that these two people were at the same event. The guy from Aging Wheels appeared on Electric Garage's video, and he was in the black car that was running beside Electric Garage, and they were just working together for the same end, to promote the snake oil. I didn't bother with that one. One thing I did pick up on was when he showed the acceleration and the wheel pants almost hitting the ground at the back under acceleration. I like that bit.
A very different feel and personality to it. The Aptera community is as varied as their video expressions of their Aptera experiences, apparently. Anywho, these vehicles are videos, not vehicles. Anywho, both of these videos are on my list of stories that I have linked below, so I will encourage you to check those out as well. That'll do it for this news update, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Ninge.
Well, I'll let him know. He's a university dropout, and he can hardly string 3 words together. I'm very fluent, except when I look into a computer. But I know that he actually has a script. I don't have a script. I get my mental blanks just because I'm on the fly. He has no script, but he can't talk to save himself. And what he says is unintelligent. It's the only way to put it. He says unintelligent things. He seems to be on the same level as Hillbilly Bill and the window cleaners from Drive the Lightning and a few others that just aren't really up to the task. That's my rant. That's my lesson in what life is like, the highs and the lows, the good and the bad, the informative and the just I'll talk just to waste your time. So I'll now revert back to my sign off that I made at the start.
It kind of happened in the course of a day. Like, I jumped from 480 something to 505 or something like that. It was wackadoo. I appreciate the outpouring of support, and I appreciate you guys being as awesome as you are. Continue being awesome, and I will continue doing my best to do the same. Thank you guys so much again, and have a great day. The company expects to see a 20% increase in the range of their already electric... I'm just going to go ahead. And delete that word because it's been screwing me up all day.
That's all from me. Bye for now. Stay safe.